Ladies and gentlemen, we now have more information as to the Colorado shooting suspect. And needless to say, it's not what the media hoped it would be. But before I dive into this, I want to say this. I don't want to do this. This isn't something that I enjoy doing. Whenever a mass shooting occurs, you have people who immediately want to politicize it, who immediately want to start generating narratives. It's a little ridiculous to me that this is even a thing that has to happen. But whenever they start doing that, I have to do this. The narrative has to be combated. Reality has to reign supreme. The truth has to come out. And again, I want to give my condolences to everyone involved in this, who lost someone, who is going to suffer from this. My heart goes out to you. I would rather not have to politicize this in defense, but I'm going to have to. Let's dive in. I want to give you guys an idea of how these narratives come about and what narrative came about because of the Boulder, Colorado shooting. You'll notice this article by NBC was released on Monday at 4:34 p.m. 10 people dead, including police officer, after shooting at Colorado grocery store. Let's dive in. 10 people were killed, including a police officer, after a gunman walked into a grocery store in Boulder, Colorado on Monday and began randomly shooting shoppers. The officer, Eric Talley, 51, an 11-year veteran of the Boulder Police Force, was the first officer to arrive at the King Soopers grocery store Monday afternoon, Police Chief Maris Harold said. He had been dispatched after gunfire was reported. Harold provided no details about the other victims. She said a suspect who was injured in the shooting is in custody. She didn't provide details about a potential motive. So, again, Monday at 4:34 p.m. Let's fast forward. That Monday, NBC releases another article. This one at 11:42 p.m., so hours and hours later. I know for a fact at this point in time that we have pictures of the guy who did the shooting. The suspect was definitely taken into custody long ago. They had an identity. They still refused to release it. Now, in the absence of information, narratives began to develop. Some of them were pretty racist. Some of them were divisive politically. You had people who were both uniting racism and political division in order to point fingers at a group. Okay? So many people began saying that the shooter, without evidence, not even waiting for the bodies to cool, not waiting for any information to come out, immediately began pointing at white right-wing men. All right? Immediately. As it turns out, that wasn't the case. But before I get into it, I want to show you the kind of things that were being said. David Hoffman, a man on Twitter who has 75,000 followers, said, "I'll bet anyone right now that the shooter in Boulder is a right-wing MAGA white male." 2,040 likes, 413 retweets. All right. You even had someone like Mina Harris, Kamala Harris's niece, saying that, white men are the biggest terror threat to America, effectively saying exactly what Don Lemon said live on air. It just goes to show you how deeply ingrained this anti-white narrative in the mainstream media is. That they don't even wait for information to come out. They don't care. They immediately want to attach it to a group. Immediately. Wasting no time. But now we know that this case is that this is not the case. This isn't an issue of whiteness, white supremacy, anything like that. This particular shooting was carried out by someone who is Middle Eastern, as it was. Name of Boulder shooter released and the predominant narratives just got nuked. This is up at RedState.com right now. But now we have a name, and it nukes just about every prior predominant media narrative surrounding the shooting. There are a few different spellings going around via various reports, but they are all trying to convey the same thing. From Breaking 911, breaking Colorado supermarket shooter identified as 21-year-old Ahmad Al-Isa. Not a white name. Not a white name attached to a not white person. And you'll notice that the media began immediately walking it back. This is the deleted tweet that Mina Harris had released. The Atlanta shooting was not even a week ago. Violent white men are the greatest threat to our country. She's deleted that now, and she's replaced it with a tweet that reads, I deleted a previous tweet about the suspect in the Boulder shooting. I made an assumption based on his being taken into custody alive and the fact that the majority of mass shootings in the U.S. are carried out by white men. Both of these are untrue. The vast majority of people killed by police are white people. Believe it or not. Most of the mass shootings that occur in the United States are also not from white people. This is a leftist narrative that has been carried out over the course of years. Every time a mass shooting occurs, it is either embraced or ignored by the media based on skin color. If it is a white person, you'll notice that they make a massive issue out of it. If it is not a white person, it dies within a week. This is exactly what's going to happen now. It does not fit the narrative, and so therefore you're going to see this story just kind of slowly disappear and go away. It's not useful enough for the media, so they're going to make it go away. But this is why many leftists believe that white people carry out the majority of mass shootings in the United States. It's because the media only focuses on that skin color alone. That's it. And so this is why you have Mina Harris tweeting this out, thinking that she's 100% correct, but she's not. She is actually very mistaken in her facts, and it's her mistakenness is also driven by her apparent racism. Let's focus in on the shooter for just a second. Here's what we know about this guy. And this is some of the shots that came out, some of the screenshots that came out from his Facebook profile. That has now been deleted by Facebook. Now, given I don't blame Facebook for deleting this is actually common practice. You know, once a mass shooter is identified, they go in and they hide his posts for various reasons, but they keep them for law enforcement. You can see this. He's not a big MAGA supporter, is he? He's not a big Trump supporter. This is one of his deleted posts on Facebook. He inherited a growing economy, and the unemployment rate was low. The economy was on an upward spiral. He won because of racism, he said. The Muslims at the Christchurch Mosque were not a victim of a single shooter. They were victims of the entire Islamophobia industry that vilified them. Trump's a dick. It goes on and on. But here's the other thing. It says, oh, people, listen to me in earnest, worship Allah, say your 5 daily prayers, fast during the month of Ramadan, and give your wealth in zakat. Perform Hajj if you can afford to. So this man was anti-Trump, big time. He was also Muslim. What we can bring from this is that the media narrative that immediately came up, the leftist narrative that immediately arose after this shooting, was driven by a need to elevate leftist politics. It was driven by a racist underpinning or underlying problem that exists in the mainstream media. You had people who were saying blatantly racist things against white people without blinking. And no one's going to call them out on this, but I will. These people are racists, and it's wrong for them to do this. Not only is it wrong to politicize something right after people have lost family members who are going to be grieving, okay? It's wrong to try to make it into a racial issue. White people are not responsible for this, okay? But here's the other thing I want to make clear. I'm not going to just say that Middle Eastern people are responsible for this. Anytime a shooting happens, the thing that we should not do is immediately point to that person's race. There are always underlying issues that we need to focus on. Always, okay? And we need to be honest about these issues. Sometimes it's mental health. Sometimes it's religious extremism. Okay? Sometimes it's ideological extremism as well. We come into these problems a lot. But lately, our shallow mainstream media, our shallow mainstream ideological nonsense when it comes to social justice, immediately point to an identity group. This has to stop. This can't continue. Because it's going to cause far more problems than it's going to solve. You're only creating more enemies out of innocent people. More bad guys out of people who do not deserve to be called bad guys. Any person who is racist as David Hoffman was or Mina Harris was need to be called out for their racism immediately. Because if this continues, as Gina Carano once said, you're going to make monsters out of innocent people who did nothing. You're going to make people hate people for no good reason, other than the fact that the mainstream media said that they were bad. We can't let this continue. Again, my heart goes out to the people who lost their lives in Boulder, Colorado, their families. I'm so sorry for your loss. And I am sorry that this took place with the politicization of it all, and that I now have to respond to this. So, again, my apologies. I am sorry for what happened. And for all of you who are politicizing this and making it a racial issue, you're the worst. You're the absolute worst. I'll see you in the next video. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or learned anything, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification icon so you're made aware when we upload new content. See you in the next video.